In my last episode, I talked about inheriting a retirement account as a non-spouse beneficiary. But today what I want to focus on in this episode is inheriting a retirement account as a spousal beneficiary. When a spouse inherits a retirement account, the rules are different. There's actually more flexibility as a spouse inheriting a retirement account than a non-spouse beneficiary of a retirement account. But with that flexibility comes more decisions. More decisions based on your age, your spouse's age, whether the account is a Roth or traditional, and whether you need the money now or later. So as a spouse inheriting a retirement account, you generally have three options. Option number one is rolling the retirement account, IRA or Roth IRA, for example, into your own IRA or Roth IRA in your own name. That's option number one. Option number two is keeping it as an inherited IRA. So keeping it as a separate account. And the third option is just withdrawing all the money out of the account. So let's walk through these one by one. Option number one is rolling the account into your own retirement account. This is essentially treating the IRA as if it was your own. Maybe you are working your career and you are putting money into your own IRA, your spouse passed away. You just roll those funds into your own account. Now it's viewed as your retirement account. So if your spouse had a traditional IRA, you rolled into your account, it is now your traditional IRA. If your spouse had a Roth IRA, you just roll that into your account as your name Roth IRA. And the biggest advantage to doing this is simplicity. Now, instead of having your retirement account and maybe an inherited retirement account, it's just simple. It's all in your retirement account in your name. And so those funds now follow as if it was your funds the whole time. So your required minimum distributions will start based on your age. You can actually contribute more money into that account if you wanted to, because it's your retirement account. You can continue managing it like your other retirement accounts. There's not two separate accounts, it's all in one. And if it's a Roth IRA, you can let it continue to seek tax-free growth for longer. Again, it is your account now. So you can treat it as if it was always your account. But there's one important thing to note with this. If you roll those funds into your retirement account and you are under the age of 59 and a half and you want access to those funds and you withdraw them before 59 and a half, you will be, generally speaking, subject to the early withdrawal penalty of 10%. So depending on your age, depending on when you need the money, it might not make sense to roll those funds into your own retirement account. Option number two is keeping those funds as an inherited IRA, so separate of your retirement accounts over here in an inherited IRA. This option can be especially useful for someone that's under the age of 59 and a half that needs access to those funds before 59 and a half, because if it's in a separate inherited IRA, you would actually, generally speaking, forego that 10% early withdrawal penalty. So again, if you are under 59 and a half and you actually need access to those funds prior to 59 and a half or older, this route might be the better option. Now with this option, if you keep those funds in an inherited IRA, the required minimum distribution, the RMDs, depends on factors like whether the deceased spouse had already started RMDs, the age of the surviving spouse, and when the original account owner passed away. But just if you keep it in an inherited IRA, there might be a potential for having RMDs on this account. So option number two has some flexibility and actually creates some unique opportunities for handling this new inherited account. And option number three is just simply withdrawing the money. Let's say you inherit $500,000 from your spouse, you just take it all out in 1 year. Now, depending if it's a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA, there will be taxes involved, and depending on how much you pay in taxes, it might not make sense to take it all out in 1 year. But I do just like to mention that is an option, is just take everything out of that inherited IRA all at once. This is why inheriting an IRA as a spouse or even a non-spouse beneficiary is more nuanced than people think. I want to take a moment to talk more about RMDs with inherited accounts as a surviving spouse inheriting that account. This chart is from kitces.com, but as you can see, it helps us follow a flow chart, whether the original owner, dies before required beginning date, this is RMD age, or on or after required beginning date, whether you do a spousal rollover or whether you take this as an inherited account. But it talks about when these RMDs should begin. And as you can see, if you take the spousal rollover and treat it as your own, it's based on your age. We can also see how you determine what that calculation score is, what is the life expectancy used, and when do you recalculate that RMD. But also, if you take the inherited IRA route, either way, whether that's before RMDs or on or after the original owner had to take RMDs, there's a little bit more of a flow chart on how you determine when to take RMDs. So for example, if the owner died on or after RMD age, you take it as an inherited account. You take it as no election for surviving spouse to be treated as descendant. The RMDs begin the year after death. And then the calculation score is whichever is longer of the single life table of either the spouse or the descendant. And then the recalculation, whether you have the spouse or descendant, it's recalculated annually or reduced by one each year. So this is a great flow chart, again, from kitces.com to help you determine whether the original owner was of required beginning date or RMD age or on/after, if you're going to take it as a spousal rollover, or if you're going to take it as an inherited account, and then how you determine when those RMDs occur and how they are calculated. Here are some common mistakes I see people make with inherited IRAs as a spousal beneficiary. Number one, they immediately roll the IRA into their own account, but then they need access to the funds prior to 59.5. Another mistake I see with inherited IRAs is not understanding the tax impact of taking large withdrawals out of these accounts. Not planning for it, not knowing they're coming, and then tax time comes around and you're hit with a surprise tax bill. And finally, I see a lot of times people don't understand the flexibility as a spouse that inheriting a retirement account has. They don't understand that you don't have to roll it into your own name. You can keep it as an inherited IRA, or they don't know you can roll it into your own name, and then RMDs are based on your age. So just not knowing that there are options with inherited IRAs as a spouse is a common mistake that I see. So it's important to understand that spousal beneficiaries have unique opportunities and flexibility with these inherited accounts. Thank you all for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision.